Jay White returned to New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom 12, 4th of January 2018 to wrestle Hiroshi Tanahashi for the Intercontinental Championship. Not only did he lose his return match, but it was a performance a lot of people thought wasn't good enough to hang with the very top of New Japan Pro Wrestling. But just 365 days later, he delivered Okada a 15-minute defeat, which is the quickest he has suffered since in the last 5 years. But in that short span of time, he had a decently long US title run, became the new leader of Bullet Club, and acquired Okada's right-hand man Gedo to be his new manager. But how did we go in a short span of time from no one that anyone thought could take on the big boys to being the man just a year later? Well, let's have a little deep dive here as we look at Jay White Year 1, the making of a monster. The following night, Kenny Omega, desperate to stop some infighting in the Bullet Club, looked to recruit a new member. But the obvious home for Jay White was not his first, as Okada revealed in a press conference on January 6th. Jay White states in this press conference that he wasn't joining Chaos to learn under Okada or any of his new stablemates, but instead it was a marriage of convenience, as he hated Kenny Omega and the Bullet Club and was looking to destroy them. He didn't leave the press or Okada before telling everyone that he was still gunning for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, despite his new faction leader holding the belt. Okada, somehow unable to see what the rest of the world was seeing, still welcomed Jay White with welcome arms, despite just yesterday he put on that Bullet Club shirt and still laid out Kenny Omega. But to be fair, we could kind of see where the Rainmaker was coming from here. He was a year and a half into the greatest, probably, IWGP title run of all time. His cockiness, his confidence at an all-time high, but I'm sure he'll later regret this decision as the world came crumbling down just months later. But Okada was not the only member of the New Japan roster currently underestimating Jay White's abilities, as Kenny Omega soon found out, as the Cleaner was the heavy favourite in the upcoming US title bout. Despite Kenny Omega dominating where a ref stoppage seemed feasible, the Cleaner found out it only takes one slash of the knife to leave a man dead. But Jay White winning US title in hindsight was only his second greatest prize of the night, as his victory led to a chain of events resulting in Cody Rhodes laying out Kenny Omega, preparing the Switchblade's throne in the months that come. So after 1 month, Jay White had won his first title, and things seemed to calm down as he began to settle in with his Chaos brethren. Despite sticking out like a sore thumb, he seemed to have great respect for the likes of Okada and Ishii. Sure, he'd force a few ref stoppages because he'd laid the beating on a beaten man, and he'd also jump opponents at the end of matches, but the heavyweights of Chaos seemed quite accepting and let him do his own thing. But this calm period only lasts 5 months, as just 1 week before the G1, Jay White would lose his US title to Juice Robinson, leaving the Switchblade to be hunting for a new prize. G1 Day 1, Jay White versus Kazuchika Okada, the Balloon Maker. And yes, you heard me right, the Balloon Maker. Chaos's dominance of New Japan was being tested, as Okada also lost his title just briefly before the G1, and it had quite the effect on Okada's psyche. With a theme song remix, freshly dyed red hair, and a love of shouting Scooby-Dooby-Doo at the top of his lungs, Okada was set to do battle with the Switchblade. And with either a great stringer lock or a tactical arm flail from Jay White, the ref was taken down on a Rainmaker attempt, and Jay White picked up his first win over the Rainmaker. In the days of the G1 tour where Jay White wasn't in tournament action, he was assigned Yo as a tag team partner for the whole tour. With no points on the line and to preserve his body, he often left Yo in 2-on-1 situations, doing barely enough to earn a paycheck, as he'd only really interject when he thought his team had the advantage, and straight up give up when things were looking bad. Using this tactic, he finished third in his group with 6 wins and 3 losses, behind the Balloon Maker and the Ace, which of who he revenged his defeat earlier in the year at Wrestle Kingdom. An impressive outing in his first tournament, his only losses become to more experienced cheaters, falling to Farley, Suzuki, and Evil. On the final day of the tour, now being eliminated from the tournament, he would team once more with Yo, as long as Show, to face the Young Bucks and Skrull. Jay White would once again walk out on Yo as well as Show, as both members of 3K were left tapping out only 6 minutes into the bout, but only after Yo hit Jay White with a straight forearm. In the backstage interview after the fight, Jay White said that this Yo strike was on purpose. Rocky Romero had failed both of his students as a teacher, and the Catalyst also promised that change was coming. This would be the last time he would team with either members of Roppongi 3K. Just like the Bullet Club though, the writing was on the wall for a united Chaos in Beppu. Much like Yo before him, Jay White this time was the one striking down his teammate with a stray forearm as he laid down Yoshihashi. But this time in the interview backstage, he belittled Yoshihashi and wished Okada luck in his challenge of Tanahashi's #1 contender spot at next year's Wrestle Kingdom. History would repeat itself in destruction in Kobe as Jay White would yet again strike down Yoshihashi. The team came out on top, but Yoshihashi and Jay White came extremely close to come to blows, with only Will Ospreay, their partner, out there to stop it. But this wouldn't be the last time tonight that Jay White would lay his hand on another member of Chaos. In the main, Tanahashi would retain his rights to fight at Wrestle Kingdom over the Rainmaker. As soon as the bell rung, however, Jay White would spring from the back, laying out Tanahashi with a Blade Runner before putting the boots to Okada himself. Yoshihashi would run out and fail to help his buddy, but Gedo would, as he pried that steel chair from Jay White's hands, but in a turn of events would lay out Okada himself. Gedo, the man that brought Okada into Chaos and had been ever present at all his big matches, now found himself clientless, as he was relieved of his managerial duties from Okada after the G1. He wasted no time, however, aligning himself with Jay White and announcing that White was the next challenger for Tanahashi's spot. Jay White would get his match in October, but fell behind in the series 2-1 to Tanahashi as he failed to beat him. But whether he won or lost, it seems like he had a plan for the inevitable arrival of Okada after the match. The Firing Squad, a group of Bullet Club members who had disowned Kenny Omega as their leader during his animosity with Cody Rhodes, had now joined forces with Gedo and Jay White, installing the Switchblade as the new Bullet Club leader. Jay White and this new Bullet Club would go on to feud with Okada for the rest of the year before Jay White cemented his 2-0 record against Okada at Wrestle Kingdom. So here we are a year later, and through a combination of being a wrestling prodigy, willing to team and sacrifice anyone to get to the top, and a little bit of good timing, Jay White was now on top. Jay White leaving Chaos at the same time as Okada fired his longtime friend and manager Gedo, as well as the dissolution of Bullet Club, allowing Gedo to make that one phone call to Jado to reunite the band back together. And this led to Jay White, the psychopath with his own private army, to rule New Japan for the next 4 years. To go into blows with only Will Ospreay out there to play Peacemaker. The team would come out on top, but Jay White and Yoshihashi